Dankjewel Roel en Robert voor deze uitnodiging. Heel aardig dat we als nieuwe gebruikers al direct tot de expertgroep mogen toetreden. Like I said, we do this as a dual presentation. I will start and then Anna will take over halfway and she speaks in English, so we do this. We agreed to do this in English. So I am Mark Scheffer. I work at Eindhoven University of Technology as digital lead, IT lead for Innovation Space. And I would hope to tell you a bit on how we got in touch with Scorion and what we are doing, what we want to use it for. So we got in touch last year for an innovative project in education. It is perhaps also a new use case for Presentatie and might need some new features, requires some further development. But we are glad that we can, for this invitation early on, to highlight our use case. What we want to present today are, maybe you can go to the next slide, Anna. First, two topics. I will explain what Innovation Space is, how we want to use Scorion for challenge-based learning, and then Anna will tell you a bit on the course ISBEP and the role of programmatic assessment within that course. Yeah, and then in the afternoon, Robert and Ian will present the Scorion setup that we built. Looking at them, yes, that's correct. And it's still work in progress, I should say, but Robert, he persuaded us that it was nevertheless already good to share something here with the expert group.
Yeah.
I would like to start, if you can go to the next slide, with a short introduction of TUI Innovation Space.
We tested this several times, so let's hope it works.
Have you shared it with sound?
There's no sound.
Maybe you can unshare and then the with sound is an extra option.
Yeah, we did test it, but as these things go, apparently it didn't work completely.
No problem, no problem.
Apologies for that.
So I do a quick restart.
Let's see if that works.
Collaboration with
Yeah, no,
the Eindhoven University of Technology distinguishes itself worldwide when it comes to collaboration with innovative industries. In order to educate the engineers of the future, a learning hub has been added to the campus. TUI Innovation Space is the center of expertise for challenge-based learning and student entrepreneurship. A great source of inspiration is the success of the university's student teams, where students from different programs work together towards a common goal. In this way, they learn new skills, attitudes and knowledge, with great achievements. Innovation Space now offers the opportunity to engage in challenging projects within education. Students from all programs can participate in various courses and projects. They can choose a challenge they want to work on: smart mobility, agro-food and tech, energy transition, and many more topics. Real-world, open-ended challenges are brought in by industry and society. This may also be a challenge from a designer or an artist, or a challenge from one of the more than 30 student teams hosted in Innovation Space. The main goals are learning by doing and working in an interdisciplinary team with an entrepreneurial mindset. Lecturers, coaches and professionals from industry help to sharpen the students' entrepreneurial skills and keep an eye on both their personal and team development. For prototyping, students can use all available equipment, and specialized staff is always around for explanation and assistance. There are various workshops in the building, also the workshops of the Equipment and Prototype Center. They can provide technical research support for internal and external clients and are always open to advise and assist the Innovation Space students. To increase synergy and to create a broad community, many events are organized, such as presentations, workshops, speed dates, competitions and parties. TUI Innovation Space, from dream to demo.
Okay, great. And this is how we aim to develop the engineers of the future in Eindhoven. Engineers who have a T or pie-shaped profile, as we say, who combine these deep disciplinary knowledge and expertise with more general understanding and communication skills, the skills that are needed to engage in this type of projects that enable them to work and communicate with colleagues from other disciplines in such a complex real-world environment. So they have an entrepreneurial mindset and are able to deal with uncertainty. And we need to teach them to think at system level. Go to the next slide. So is this possible? Well, we saw it happening actually in our student teams. For example, here you see students developing a family solar car for the Australian solar race. So this is one of the most well-known examples that you often hear in the news, but we now have, in the video it said 30, but by now we have 52 student teams in Eindhoven, and they collaborate with many different disciplines together with many other parties on societal challenges. And they develop not only professional skills, but also learn to apply their disciplinary skills in context, as we say, and really deepen their disciplinary knowledge in this way. So they developed the required competences as a future engineer. Next slide. And as you can see here, they operate in really entrepreneurial ecosystems together with many companies in the environment. If you, for example, here on the left, I see this example is one of the cars of the URE racing team, University Racing Team Eindhoven. They're now building their 16th car, and I was visiting them last week. It's very impressive. They have connections to over 100 companies established in the meantime. So it's really a network and ecosystem in which they operate. And next slide. But student teams and these student team activities, they were and they are still performed mainly next to their study. So at TV, we started to copy this learning process that takes place in these teams and offer it also to students in their study programs. So really making it an integral part of their education program. Next slide. So I saw this slide is still in Dutch, but I hope you can forgive me. I will tell the story in English. So this is how Eindhoven has created a new education vision in order to do so. We put challenge-based learning central. Students work from intrinsic motivation in interdisciplinary teams on real-life challenges of their own choice. Students take responsibility of their own learning process. Student learning is at the core. And most important is students learn to learn, since this is what they have to do their entire life, lifelong learning. Ideally, students can choose from diverse and personal learning paths. There's much attention for development of personal identity and preparation for the labor market. And they learn in context together with other researchers, companies, designers, artists, societal organizations, all groups out of the ecosystem. So where is this vision being developed? Well, that's within an institute of the TUI that's called TUI Innovation Space. That's where Anna and myself are working. And together we have set up this unique educational concept in Europe. TUI Innovation Space is an expertise center for challenge-based learning and student entrepreneurship at TUI. It's a learning center for educational innovation. And it's also, maybe foremost, an open community for exchange of knowledge and development of sustainable solutions to real-life practical challenges. And you see here on the right, if you can click once, I think you get one more sentence. Yeah, so our approach also got some recognition last year, as we won, as you can see on the picture on the right, the first Dutch Higher Education Awards. We're very proud of that, handed out here by the minister, Ingrid van Engelshoven, if I'm correct. So in a short time, we've managed to realize large-scale innovation at the TWE campus and show that a structural change within education is possible. Here you see just an impression of a vibrant community in innovation space. I have to say it's a bit before the Corona times, but now it's slowly coming back.
Yeah.
Something that is slowly disappearing is on the next slide. This will slowly disappear in the future. This is the traditional form of education. And on the next slide, is my final slide, you see a almost live view of innovation space here. Characterizing this type of education is the interdisciplinary teams that we have, learning by doing, real world and open-ended challenges with companies, artists, researchers, entrepreneurship and technical design, coaching by industrial and university partners, and an emphasis on personal and team development. So we give also workshops on these topics that you see here and work to improve these skills of our students within challenge-based learning. And how we are going to do that in courses, Anna is going to tell you now. And you will see also that the use of tools and how we set up Scorion is and will be necessary to scale up challenge-based learning.
Thank you, Mark. So my name is Ana Valencia. As Mark mentioned, I'm also working at the innovation space as an educational design researcher. So within my role, I do educational design, but I'm also heavily involved in setting up new tools and helping move forward this vision on education that we have at the university. I wanted to present to you the case that we're currently working on and collaborating with Presentatie, with Scorion, that's ISBEP, the Innovation Space Bachelor End Project. This is one of our flagship projects, one of the first experiments that we set up at the university in terms of challenge-based learning. And we have been running this educational experiment since 2007, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to, perhaps it's not relevant to go through all the details because I think Mark already mentioned some of the key characteristics of this type of education. But perhaps what it's important to mention here is that ISBEP is it's a project that graduating students follow. So it's a high stakes project for them. When they are when they complete this project, students will be awarded the diploma. So it is quite an important project for them. And then indeed, it is interdisciplinary. The traditional projects, graduation projects at the university are individual in nature and students follow them within their own program. We offer an alternative for students who would like to graduate in an interdisciplinary team. So they come to innovation space and they work on an open challenge together, trying to find a solution to this challenge that is brought in by a challenge owner, which is typically a company, an external party, an institution, but it can also be a research group within the university or even one of our student teams. So interdisciplinary collaboration is very important, but also the collaboration with challenge owners and also with other experts. Just to give you a short example of what kind of projects we have, I think Mark showed this one also in his videos. This is called Pool Party. And in this challenge, the students come together to find a solution to explore underwater sewage systems. And so you'll have students from industrial design, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering to explore and together come up with a solution for how to achieve this. Another example of an open challenge that the students have worked on, this one is perhaps less open than the one I just previously introduced. We had one of our hospitals in the area come up with a challenge of how do we create a cast removal that is friendly for children, because this is a traumatic experience for them. And then it is up to the students, the interdisciplinary team, to find a way to achieve this. So the solution and the outcome of the project is really open. When the students start the project, they don't really know what will come out of it. And the students really have the liberty to choose within the challenge that is presented to them, a problem that they will like to focus on, and then come up with a solution that is viable. How these challenges or how these teams or how ISBEP is composed. So as I said, the students come from different programs. In this case, it's industrial design, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and mechanical engineering, to give you an example. This ISBEP is open to anyone within the university that would like to follow. They're then connected to a challenge owner, and this challenge owner is engaged with the students throughout the project to provide feedback at the project level. So the direction of the project, they also get involved in providing resources, connecting with experts, and so on. The students are also supported by academic coaches. Academic coaches bring the expertise from the domain of the students. So they are in charge of guiding the students through the content knowledge and the development of the project from their own disciplines. So the students will be guided individually by their academic coaches throughout the project, and they will provide formative assessment with a disciplinary focus, of course. And they would also be the ones conducting the final summative assessment at the end of the project. And next to this, the students also have process coaches, which are from innovation space. We call them ISBEP coaches. And these coaches are really looking at the students. They sit together with the teams on a weekly basis and provide formative feedback to them on actually both things: the process of the project, so how it is developing in terms of communication with stakeholders, for example. But next to that, there is also some individual component to it, because we also overlook the development of the team. So how is the team interacting with them? How is the interdisciplinary collaboration developing? But also, how is the student developing himself individually through this interdisciplinary collaboration? Then, of course, there are other experts that we cannot account for, but they will jump in and out of the project depending on whether it's necessary. In terms of assessment, then we have two components: the interdisciplinary learning of the students, which is what we do from innovation space perspective. And this is also the part that we are actively collaborating with Scorion about. We're trying to set up this assessment for the interdisciplinary component. And then we have the disciplinary knowledge aspect that I just explained, that is done by the academic coaches. We also work based on competencies. So for ISBEP, we have defined a set of 6 competencies that we expect the students to be able to develop through ISBEP. And for each of these competencies, we have defined a set of intended learning outcomes, so that also the students also understand what we expect to observe from them. And I don't want to go to the details of that, but just to give you an example, we have the competence on interdisciplinary communication, and then we link it to the ILO of being able to communicate and collaborate with people from other disciplines in real world cases. And for this, we have also defined a set of performance indicators. The assessment is also based on growth and development. So at the end of the course, we don't expect the students to achieve a grade. We really would like them to, grow within their profession. We expect them at the end of ISBEP to have a better understanding of who they are as engineers, develop a better understanding of their professional identity. And this has also been the basis for the development of all the assessment setup and all the tools that we used for assessment within ISBEP. And as I explained before, it is not only on a personal level, but it's also on team level. So it is very important for us to understand as well, how are the teams developing? How is the process going about? How is the team composition working? Is there something that we need to do in order to facilitate this team dynamic? Can, for example, the students within one team, if one has stronger skills in one component, can that student help another student to develop better? So this is an important aspect from the assessment that we do. And this is the assessment that we do in the end from ISBEP, from the 5 credits, is used as input for the academic coaches. So we provide a report at the end of ISBEP so that academic coaches have a better picture for the development of the students. And this assessment is then used by the academic coach to do the summative assessment. The way we scaffold learning we have learning activities that have to do with the individual development, but also the team development. As I said, the students work weekly on their projects. They, of course, have to develop their own graduation project, but also need to make sure that the projects that they do come together in the interdisciplinary solution. Weekly, we will have coaching sessions with the students. That's at a team level, where we have project updates on the process, progress, and things like that. We will also have guided team reflections. This is heavily based on peer learning, peer feedback, where the students actually discuss how they're developing and try to give feedback on one another on how to improve and how to advance. Then we also followed by this guided team reflection. The students will conduct a self-assessment and further reflect on how they are developing and what kind of strategies they need to implement to improve their learning. This will be followed by a validation from the process coach and further feedback comments from them if it's necessary, and so on and so on. And parallel to that, then there is another process that is not coordinated by us, that it's the process that takes place from the disciplinary perspective from the academic coaches. What is important to highlight here as well is that it's an iterative process. So we have 7 points in time where we do this type of assessments, and we go through this feedback loop. We ask the students to fill in the self-assessment at 7 points in times and to do full reflections on their learning at 3 points, T1, T4, and T7. Perhaps Robert will come back to this when he talks about how they're implementing this with Scorion. But yeah, I think this is what I wanted to highlight, that it's really an iterative process that we try to really follow closely how the students are developing and be able to monitor and support that learning from students. Just to give you maybe some insights into what kind of vision we came to Scorion with, and what kind of the problem that we wanted them to be able to help us with. This is what we had in mind. We wanted to be able. You don't see your
screen anymore, Anna?
You don't see my screen?
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah. No, I see your screen.
You do see my screen or not?
Yeah.
PowerPoint? Yeah.
Yeah, we see the PowerPoint.
Oh,
okay.
Is Mark the only?
Should I continue?
Again? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Well, I think we're about to end anyways, because I think that Robert will talk about this as well in his part of the presentation.
Yes.
He'll talk about they have helped us set this up. What we wanted to highlight is this importance of being able indeed to monitor this development of with the students, to bring closer the coaches with the students, to be able to have this conversation with them, to be able to capture better the learning of the students, and to also impact this process both for students and for coaches, to make this process better for them. And we can do, well, what we would like to do is to get to visualizations and then to get to feedback that is easily understood by everyone. And what is very important as well, that I think I've highlighted several times as well, is this aspect of team dynamic, that it's so key for us to be able to understand how the students are developing within their own team, but also in relation to others. This is part of what we hope we can grow into in the future.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going in a good way, in a good direction. This is just an example of a report, but we had envisioned that we could provide to the academic coaches also for the final assessment, where we can at a glance summarize how the student individually has done. To do now is see how we can move from the project to the curricular level. And I think that this effort with assessment is also part of that. We're closely monitoring these developments with Scorion. We will evaluate what a platform like this can mean for the university in a broader sense, if it's possible or not. And also that we can make, hopefully we can bring challenge-based learning as well more integrated into